Hello lovelies, welcome back to my channel. On today's video we'll be making this beautiful dress with a cowl neck effect and rush on the bottom part of the dress. I want to say a big thank you to all our subscribers. Thank you so much. God bless you richly. And if you haven't subscribed, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. God bless you. So we'll be working on the upper part of our dress first. So you are going to use your back pattern and you are going to draft your basic bodice pattern, the back. That is what I'll be using. And it's very simple to make a cowl neck effect. It's something you can, it's a pattern that you can make very, very easily, I must say. It's one of the easiest style out there. So place your pattern and cut out the back. So on the back pattern paper, I did not put my zipper allowance, so I'll be putting it on the fabric. And while putting it on the waist area, if you are using 1.5 for your zipper allowance, I advise you on the waist area, you come in by 1 inch and you connect it to the neckline. Okay, so that's just for after doing that, cut it out. So I'm going to cut out my back pattern, and after cutting out the back pattern, we'll be working on the front pattern. Okay, so let's go ahead and work on our front pattern. Let's work on the front. So in order for you to get the cowl effect, the wideness of your fabric, I advise you use 15 inches. If your pattern is not up to 15 inches, use 15 inches for the wideness. And for the cowl effect, the pattern that you have, place it on the middle of your fabric. Okay, so use 20 inches or 16 inches ahead on that shoulder area now. So let it be much a lot, give a lot of extra fabric. Do you understand what I'm saying? Use a lot of extra fabric so that when you spread that part, you'll be able to have enough space for that cowl effect. But if you don't want it to be too much, you can just reduce it. So on that shoulder line, you are going to open it up all the way down to the armhole. Okay, it's just exactly what I'm doing. Open it up all the way down to the armhole. After opening it up, you are going to do slash and spread. So before doing that, pin the pattern to your fabric so that you will not have it will not be shaking. Okay, so pin it and you can slash and spread. So on this part now, can you see the tiny slash that I made? You can just use it or increase it just the way I increased mine. So I had to increase it, and I increased it with like 11 inches was the total I got, 11 to 12 inches. So you can use 6 inches, you can use 11 to 12 inches. Okay, so after you slash it, you take your tape and you place it on the central front all the way down to that your shoulder. Okay, so what I got was 12 inches. So when you stitch it all the way, it's going to give you 11 inches after joining the shoulder. After doing that, I went ahead and I pinned it up. And after pinning it on that armhole area, you are going to mark 1/2 inch. Okay, so from the shoulder to the armhole, you mark 1/2 inch. But if you've not added sewing allowance to your pattern on the side, you can add it and connect it. But because I've added, there was no reason to add to the side. Okay, so I just added the 1/2 inch on the armhole all the way down to the shoulder. So do the same thing for yours. Okay, so we've gotten the slash and spread, and we want to get that front area. So that front area is going to be for the lining, but you know we are not cutting any extra lining, so it's going to be the part that is going to be folded and it's going to be the cowl effect. So you take your ruler and mark it to the tip of your fabric. Okay, you can extend it if you want, but just mark it to the tip of your fabric. Remember I said you should give extra when you place your pattern. So it all depends on how wide or how you want it to be. Okay, so that was what I used for mine. So I took the ruler from that shoulder and I mark it to the tip of my fabric. So after marking it, I'm going to cut it out. So See, just follow what I'm doing, cut it out, and you are going to get your cowl effect for your front piece. After doing that, notch the shoulder and we'll go over to cut our bottom part. So I use my skirt pattern paper and I just cut out the front and the back pattern of my skirt, of the bottom part of the dress or the skirt. So you can make it a two-piece. The upper part will just be a crop top or a top, and the bottom part can just be a rush skirt. So you can wear it together. I actually love the idea, but mine was a gown. But you can actually try it making it a two-piece. I think it's going to come out nicely. So cut it out, and after cutting it out, cut out the front piece. So I did that. I cut out the front piece and the back piece. So the back you have two, the front you have one. After cutting out the front piece, you open it up. So when you are done opening it up, you have to mark or notch the middle of your front pattern. While doing that, if you want to put the rush effect at the middle of your skirt of the front, you can do that. But mine, I use the dart area. Okay, so you know when we do our dart, we are going to use that nipple to nipple from the midpoint, that center front, and you mark 4 inches. So from the midpoint, I marked 4 inches. After marking the 4 inches, I rule a straight line and I use 9 inches for the length, how long I want the rush effect to be. So I used 9 inches and I marked it. I'm so sorry, the chalk was not coming out the way I wanted it to be. So use your ruler and mark a straight line to that 9 inches that you marked earlier. So after marking the straight line on both sides, you determine the wideness of the rush effect. So if you want to use 2 inches, if you want to use 1.5 inches, it all depends on you. So I ended up using 1.5 inches. Then when you divide it, it's going to give you 0.75. So mark 0.75 on both sides and connect it to that 9 inches that you have on the bottom part. Okay, so just draw a straight line. So we'll be having 3 lines for our rush effect. So after connecting it, you go ahead and cut the placket, the casing for the rush. Okay, so I'm going to connect it and I'm going to cut the casing now. After connecting it, this is what I have. So I've already cut out my casing and I use 2.5 inches for my casing. So it's way bigger. And I use 10 inches instead of 9 inches because we'll be folding the both side with hemming gum and we'll be folding the bottom part. Okay, so you use hemming gum. You see what I'm doing? You use hemming gum to fold it that way. And on the bottom part, you use hemming gum to do it. Okay, so let me do it this way. You use the hemming gum on both sides and on the bottom part. To use the hemming gum and your iron and press it. After pressing it, you place it on the line and you stitch. Okay, so you stitch both sides and later you stitch the middle. So I'll do mine and show you how it looks. I'm going to stitch every part together, so I want to do it so that it will be fast. You are going to stitch the front piece and the back piece together. And I will advise, before adding the front and the back together, I advise you add the lining piece or the interfacing of the back before attaching it to the front. Okay, so I made a mistake and I went ahead and joined the shoulder to shoulder before doing that. So join the neckline of your back first with the interfacing before you join it to attach it to the front. That way it's going to be very neat when you use that lining piece of the back to turn the shoulder. So the front and the back shoulder line is going to be very neat. Okay, so that's my advice. I'm going to put a link on how to do that. I think I have a tutorial on how I use the back to turn the front shoulder. Okay, so I'm going to put that. So that's what you do. Do the same thing for yours. So join the shoulder to shoulder together. I'm going to do that and I'm going to show you how it looks with the bottom part after joining the rush placket. Okay guys, so let me take it to my sewing machine and stitch it up, then I'll show you how it looks. I've joined the shoulder to shoulder of the front and the back together. So I'm going to keep it aside and we'll be working on the rush effect, okay, before joining the sides of the bottom part or the skirt piece. So I'm done with the placket and this is how it looks. Keep it aside. Let's work on the rope or strings that we'll be using for the rush effect. So this is the string that I'll be using, and the total I used was 59 inches and the wideness was 1.5 inch thereabout. So after doing that, I went ahead and I stitched it on my sewing machine and I used my pin to open it up. So do the same thing for yours. It depends on the size you want to use. You can use 1 inch and just stitch it. Okay, so if you don't know how to stitch strings for your rush effect, there are two ways you can do that. You can either use your pin to turn it up, or you can stitch it by folding the side as if you are doing a bias. So you can do it by folding the side. After folding the side, you join those parts that you folded in between and you stitch on it. So the stitch is going to be showing. Okay, so basically what I'm doing, that is what you are going to do. Just do exactly what I'm doing right now. You can do that and just stitch it. So while doing that, you are going to see the stitches. But if you don't want to do that, you can stitch it up and turn it. Okay, so you stitch the back and you turn it to the front. So that's what I did for mine. After stitching it, I went ahead and I inserted it on the placket. So while doing that, you pin it to use your pin and you pass it through those two holes that you have, those two openings, and you pass it all the way to the other side. Okay, so on the midpoint of that stitch that we made for the placket, I advise you give half an inch for sewing allowance. Okay, so that is going to be helpful on this part. So give half an inch and pass it round. After passing it round, make sure the strings is equal. Okay, so after you've done that, make sure the strings is equal and you pass it and you've gotten your rush effect design. So that's basically it. Can you see it? So you can gather it and do whatever you want to do. But that's not what we are going to do now. We are going to do it and it's equal. We'll go ahead and stitch the two sides together. But before doing that, what I started doing recently was I always attach the front upper part of this top or the gown to the bottom part of the gown. So I attach the front piece to the front piece, then the back piece to the back piece. So I do that mostly because I want the two sides to be equal. Okay, so if it's not equal, I end up making everything to align with each other. So if you want to stitch the upper part, then later add it to the bottom part, you can do that. It all goes. Okay, so make sure everything is equal. So I'm going to do that, join the upper part to the lower part and show you how it looks. I've gone ahead and I've attached the upper part to the bottom part of the dress, and like I said earlier, you can just stitch the up and stitch the down, attach the two sides together of both the upper part and the lower part, then hem it and use your interlocking machine to do it, to lock everything and hem the bottom part. Okay, but I'm attaching the upper part to the bottom part of mine. So I did the upper part and the bottom part of both the front and the back piece, and I've joined the shoulder, I've turned the neckline. So on the front, you use your interlocking machine to lock it, and you can use hemming gum to just hem it, or you stitch it when you are done locking it, in order for you to have a neat work. Okay, so after you are done with that part, you attach your sleeve. I'm sorry, I'm being very fast right now, so I don't want the video to be too long. So attach your sleeve by pinning it up from the two armhole. So you pin the sleeve to the two armhole and you stitch. After stitching it, you join the sides together. So joining the side, you are joining from that sleeve tip all the way down to the hemline of the dress. Okay, so do the same thing for both sides. When you are done joining it, you attach your zipper. Okay, and for my zipper, I use invisible zip for my zipper, and I have invisible zipper a footer, and I also have normal zipper footer. So I'm going to do a video on how I use my invisible zipper footer. I'm going to show you how it looks. Okay, so join your zip, join the sides, and after doing that, I'll place it on my mannequin and show you how it looks. This is how it looks after stitching. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for watching today's tutorial. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. God bless you. Bye, guys. And I love this dress, by the way. Bye.